Encounter is brought to you by the Broome County Council of Churches, where we connect compassion with needs as we inspire growth with dignity. You'll find us in special places throughout the community. For those who remain hungry, we provide meals. For those who are challenged, we build wheelchair ramps. We comfort those who are ill, minister to those who are confined, and we remain an advocate for change and understanding on behalf of every element of our community. Connect and inspire. Encounter the Broome County Council of Churches.
Good morning, I'm Jeff Kellam. Welcome to this week's edition of Encounter. A few weeks back, we did an interview with a professor of history about the 500th anniversary of the Protestant Reformation. I know something about the Protestant Reformation, so that went pretty well. And then last week, Kevin Wright was our guest talking about the Past to Future project, digitizing old media like old movies and slides so that future generations can enjoy them and they can also be used for research. I know something about digital images, so that went pretty well. Today's topic, though, I don't know very much about. And right up front, with some embarrassment and some chagrin, I say I don't know enough about it, except what I read in the headlines and sometimes in the obituary pages. Opioid addiction. Where there is hope, there is help, and where there's help, there's hope. Those things are going hand in hand, and I hope in the next half hour or so we'll learn something more about what hope and help are available to people in our area. And that includes Tioga County and Tompkins County as well. So let me introduce you to our guest. Karen Caminiti is the program manager of the Center of Treatment Innovation, which is related to or part of the Addiction Center of Broome County.
Yes.
And then we also have Marc, a certified recovery peer advocate. And we're going to be talking about some new programs that are available to help those who are in this opioid addiction. We call this an epidemic. Is that the right term to use?
I think so. I think that you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody that hasn't been touched one way or another by this.
Right. Yeah, it may be somebody in the family. It could be a neighbor. It could be somebody in church. And so this is an addiction that, or an epidemic that touches all of us in our neighborhoods, far and wide.
Correct.
So describe the Center of Treatment Innovation for me.
Sure.
Karen?
It's a new program, and it has what we call certified recovery peer advocates. For this particular team, my team, we have 6 of them. I also have 2 mobile clinicians, and then we have 3 care managers as well.
Yeah.
So that's our entire team. What's different about it is that you hear a lot about meeting people where they're at. Well, with this particular team, we do that literally. So we are all mobile. We have 2 15-passenger Sprinter vans where we can go out and meet people where they're at.
Right.
We bring the peer advocates out, and they can, we're doing outreach right now actually with a bunch of different agencies. So right now it's all about getting word out of who we are and hopefully get some, what do you call?
Referrals?
Referrals, yes.
Referrals.
Yes.
Yeah. So previously, the model was that there would be a brick and mortar place to go.
Correct.
To offer addiction counseling or treatment.
Right.
And now the innovation part of this is to take this out, to move beyond those buildings,
Right.
to wherever people meet. Now, so you get in the van, you go where? Are you meeting in churches or in community centers or in people's homes or what?
Well, we have agencies around each town, each county, respectively, that we work with that give us office space. So we may run into a client and say, hey, meet me here at this time, and that's where we would meet and conduct business.
Yeah.
And the vans are also specially built, so there's like a small little office built actually in the van. So there's a small table, 2 chairs where they can meet in there as well if push comes to shove.
Yeah. Could we talk just a moment about how an opioid addiction begins?
Well, I think that right now treatment is based on the biopsychosocial model. So biologically, there's factors that cause predisposition. Socially, where you live, your environment, the people you have around you, that plays a factor. And psychologically, mental illness, I think it's something like 80% of people that go into treatment are dually diagnosed. And I think all of that plays into it.
Right. And it's, no one gets up in the morning and says, I think I'll become an addict. So
No.
this is something that creeps up on you with your dependence on a painkiller, for example.
Right.
Yeah, it could start as, as simple as an injury. You're going to your doctor, you get prescribed this medication, and then you find yourself using more, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and then you're in it.
Right.
That's the interesting. They did a study on Vietnam veterans who returned home that had used when they were overseas, and a lot of them stopped using when they came home based on a different environment. When things are miserable and you're at war and they're using and they're numbing, they come home and they get to reconnect with family members and sober supports, and then have people that they love and care about around them. A lot of them stopped using.
Right.
So, what we're trying to do is meet with people, build with them, be that sober support, and link them to treatment.
When folks are, how do people get referred into the Center for Treatment Innovation?
It's as simple as a phone call, to be honest with you. We have a 1-800 number, so if you dial that, 9 times out of 10 you'll probably reach me, and then I can dispatch a peer advocate. We try to do it within 2 hours.
Wow.
So they hop in the van and they go out and they meet with the individual.
Right. And the phone number I have cleverly in front of me here is 888, which would indicate toll free.
Yes.
888. It's 428-4571. So it's 888-428-4571. The brochure lists a number of services available, and I don't think we have time to go through all of them, but let's talk about care management, for example, and linkage to primary care.
Yes. So for example, a lot of the clients that we're seeing do not have any medical insurance, Some of them are actually homeless, so they don't have much of anything at all. So the first thing that we want to do is get their basic needs met. We want to make sure they have food, they have shelter, and those types of things.
Right.
So that's where the care managers will come into play and get those first basic needs met.
Yeah.
It creates stability.
Yes.
And until you have stability, you can't really worry about the other things.
Yep. But once you've gotten on the track there, then it's not exactly like dominoes, but now doors begin to open and you find the help.
You have
Maslow. It's Maslow.
foundation to work on,
Right.
to work from.
Right. And then we have, I'm interested in the referral to detox, inpatient treatment provider of choice, and so on.
Right.
This is where the rubber hits the road. This is where you're getting the help that you need.
I think that one of the deterrents that we're seeing is people that are using opioids, when they try to come off what they call dope sick, the withdrawals, DTs, they're pretty violent, and that not being able to get through that would cause the normal person to go back out and use again, so they don't feel like that.
Right.
So getting them to detox where they can be medically assisted to go through that, I think that's key in getting people, and just having it as an option, just presenting that, that might change people's minds.
This is a hard road. This is not something that's going to take place in your first couple of visits.
Right. And that's what's great about this program as well, is that, the peer recovery advocates can meet with them as long as it takes. So there's not like 3 visits, and if you don't go to treatment, we're done.
Yeah.
We'll stay with them. It could be weeks, it could be months before they find themselves ready to, try a more traditional treatment.
It usually takes a while. It takes to build that, that trust to move on to treatment. I think that the stigma attached to that, and knowing that, you know, you can look on any Facebook post about addiction and see that how people feel about it. They just want to toss people to the side and kind of dismiss like they're just trash.
Yeah.
Having people come in and give the idea of caring.
Yeah.
You know, I think that changes things and makes people want to move forward.
Well, the stigma is erased when it's someone you know. When it's someone you know personally, someone in your family. All the stereotypes and all the old movie images of somebody lurking in the shadows. Suddenly, this is your
Real.
daughter.
It becomes very real.
Yeah, yeah. And then your sense of compassion opens up. And so I've noticed that in some of the obituaries of younger people who shouldn't be on that page, nowadays it's saying, so-and-so lost her battle with addiction. I mean, it's just putting it up front so that other folks can learn from that and know that we need to confront this.
Absolutely.
That in itself is a huge step. You know, at one point, families didn't want to come forward and say that, you know, my loved one passed from a battle with addiction.
Yeah.
And people are coming right out and saying it now to spread awareness.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's huge.
And the peer piece of this is always an important part of any program that's dealing with helping folks feel like they have something in common with the counselor or the helper. So in peer support, Marc, what does that mean for you?
Well, a lot of our peers are in recovery themselves. The ones that aren't can relate. Everybody has a story.
Yeah.
You know, we're able to self-disclose information to help that relatability, so they understand that they're not alone.
Right.
And you know, just the relatability piece alone helps build that connection.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's huge.
There is a sense of community on the other side where you're feeling the peer pressure, but that sense of community on, pardon the expression, the other side, which is where you're feeling that somebody cares for you and has some answers for you.
Right.
Yeah. So once again, this is an idea that moves beyond bricks and mortar to go where people are. So you're moving, and you've gotten a grant to do this. Tell me a little bit about that.
The grant came from the state targeted response on the opioid use disorder epidemic. So ACBC was chosen.
ACBC.
Yeah, the Addiction Center of Broome County was chosen to receive this grant and target Tioga and Tompkins counties. So those two counties do not have a lot of services, and there are quite a few barriers to treatment. So this grant is trying to, you know, kind of overcome some of those.
Yeah, yeah. And you said that you had a target of maybe 25 people?
Yeah, I think it was like 25 per county. And,
yeah, and you've been going since when?
Officially, the grant started, I believe, and it was like April or May.
Right.
We didn't really get up and running.
We weren't even fully staffed until
mid-September.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So how are you doing towards your goal?
Very well, very well. Which is good and it's bad, you know.